Welcome to Worldwide Hippies News and Stuff for the week of February 7th. I'm Winston Smith. Our top story. The death toll from the Mideast uprisings has reached over 200 last week. Bombings, kidnappings, and violence are all at a year-time high. Protesters rallied in every major city demanding the government be replaced and actions be taken to address the rising costs of food, inflation, lack of jobs, torture, corruption at the highest levels, no clean water, and power outages that have lasted for over 22 hours a day in some places. 1 million women, widows, mothers of murdered and missing children, wives of missing husbands, and victims of government-sanctioned rapes are planning a march later this month there, in defiance of the government's ban on open protests. The march would have taken place last week, but the signed permission slips weren't in from their male owners yet, and they had to postpone it. Currently, security forces in the country are protecting the elite and corporate interests while allowing thugs and plainclothes government agents to attack peaceful demonstrators with tear gas, swords, guns, stones, and rubber bullets. No planned action by the United States to distance itself from this corrupt and violent government or any sanctions by us that might calm the unrest will happen, said Barack Obama last week. In fact, President Barack Obama says all is going as planned there, and the United States is in it for the long haul and in support of that government and their abuse of human beings. And so it goes for last week in Iraq. You thought I was talking about Egypt? No, that was Iraq last week. Here's our report from Egypt.
We are following the violence and chaos on the streets of Cairo as pro and anti-government demonstrators are facing off. Now our own CNN anchor Anderson Cooper.
Anderson Cooper, live from Cairo.
We are coming to you live from Cairo tonight from an undisclosed location. I don't mind telling you, I am a little bit scared. There's a lot of fear in Washington tonight about what the White House is thinking and trying to do here.
Anderson Cooper has been the vicious street battle, rocks being thrown.
The Mubarak government saying it did not appreciate or welcome what it considers over-the-top meddling. Anderson Cooper will not yield without a fight.
What happened, because a lot of our viewers have been emailing me and they're concerned.
Certain individuals in that crowd, itching for a fight, try to join in the melee, throwing bottles or water, trying to rip off Marianne's clothing. We bring you Molotov cocktail with a knife so as to incite the crowd. We've all seen the results of that over the last, 10 hours or so.
The crowd kept throwing more punches, kicks, trying to grab us. It was pandemonium. A young man would come up, look at you, and then punch you right in the face.
Anderson, you and your crew and other CNN journalists were roughed up earlier in the day.
I can't tell you where we are. We can't do that because our cameras have systematically been taken down through threats, through intimidation, through actual physical attacks. Many of the people in Egypt, despite what some of these thugs who are in the streets, despite their intimidation, there are many people in Egypt that want you to know, I am a little bit scared. But we apologize for this, for the quality of this broadcast. There's frankly nothing we can really do about it.
Worldwide Hippies needs your help. Site creators are searching for volunteer correspondents from around the world to check in weekly and report the news and views in your country. Contact the site creator if you're interested. We need your help to make Worldwide Hippies truly worldwide.
On the science front last week, storms raged in the U.S. as 30 states were blanketed with snow, ice, and 50-mile-an-hour winds. States as far south as Texas were hit with sub-freezing temperatures and snow. Rolling blackouts and heating fuel shortages forced the big state to beg Mexico, of all places, for electricity to be redirected to Texas to warm these cowboys who were left shaking in their boots, or should I say shivering. Everything in Texas is bigger, even the whining when things get a little cold, it seems. But just a footnote here, George W. Bush and his gated community down there in Texas were all just fine during this cold snap. Your tax dollars made sure that the emergency electric systems and all heating fuel that they needed were available without interruption. Meanwhile, down under, in Australia, the largest cyclone in recorded history ripped through that country. A storm the size of the United States ruined crops of sugarcane and corn, causing a party on Wall Street here in the U.S. as futures market just hit the ceiling. The mainstream media avoided reporting the story not because of its relationship with global climate change or because of the media's actual relationship with Wall Street, but because it's Australia. Instead, the media was reporting that the smart, sexy, savvy Sarah Palin and her spawn are trying to get their names trademarked. Yes, trademarked. So in the future, if you want to talk about Sarah What's-Her-Name or What's-Her-Name's What's-Her-Name, you'll have to pay for it. Now that's news. And this. John Boehner, remember him? He's the new Speaker of the House. Well, back in the Clinton administration, he was pushing for impeachment of Bill Clinton, when old Bill was not just fucking the country but getting Hummers in the White House. Now, I could care less about Billy's blowjobs. In fact, who could blame him? After all, he is married to a lesbian. But as reported in the National Enquirer last week, John Boehner pushed through legislation for a female lobbyist in return for some pussy. This is not only hypocritical, but it's a felony. But don't expect Attorney General Holder to do anything about it, as we all should know by now that murderers, torturers, Wall Street thugs, corrupt past administrations, and proven portrayers of espionage will be protected by the Obama Justice Department, so why not a stinky Boehner also? I guess that's real bipartisanship, cooperation. And this is good. The Catholic Church has a new book out, and no, it's not a revised Bible. It's called How to Trap, Torture a Witch, and Bring Her to God for Dummies. But I don't recommend this book, though. I looked through it, and there's no real new information there. Basically, if they float, they're witches and you burn them. If they sink, you count them as collateral damage. And this was reported on Fox News last week as a headline on Fox.com. Take note of the date as I read on. A New Zealand woman was partially paralyzed by a hickey on her neck from her amorous partner, said Fox News Friday. The 44-year-old woman went to an emergency department in Middlemore Hospital in Auckland last year after experiencing loss of movement in her left arm. Doctors concluded that the woman had suffered a mild stroke, but they were puzzled about its cause until they found a small vertical bruise on her neck near a major artery. It was a hickey she had received a few days earlier. Because it was a love bite and she was so damn good looking, said Dr. Hu, there must have been a lot of suction. Mr. Hu went on to say, because of this physical trauma, it made a bit of bruising inside the blood vessel. There was a clot in the artery underneath where the hickey was, and the clot dislodged and traveled to the woman's heart, where it caused a minor stroke that led to her loss of movement. Dr. Hu also went on to say that he had looked through a lot of medical literature and journals and could not find an example of this happening before. Dr. Hu also said that the woman is recovering just fine after being treated with an anticoagulant, and as a precaution, the woman's boyfriend was also treated in his groinal area. So that's the news for this week. I want to thank everybody for visiting the site. Check out our store there for bumper stickers, t-shirts, wristbands. We have some nice jewelry up there too. Or just make a donation right on the site, and we'll see you next Monday.